we were telling you that in the previous diagram where we were showing the schematic of the X-ray machine, that if you have molybdenum as the material, then there will be peaks created at certain wavelengths. There will be peaks created at different, and here it is explained that we have K shell, L shell, M shell, and so on. And when there is extra energy, the electrons jump from a lower shell to a higher shell, and when the electrons jump back, then they give off the energy in the form of an X-ray. So I mean, this is there, but for now, see, you have done lots and lots of courses where you have done X-rays and so on, so we don't want to involve us in that discussion. Just that the technique that we are now going to do involves X-rays. Okay, so the technique is called X-ray diffraction. X-ray diffraction, in short, XRD, X-ray diffraction in short. Now let me quickly remind you, you have done lots of light or optics chapter in your Thanviya, in your university physics and so on. There is reflection when light hits something and reflects back. There is refraction, light passes through, say, a glass, changes direction, comes out in another direction, it is refraction. But when we are looking at that, light goes inside a material and hits the atoms or the molecules and then changes directions and comes out, right? So this is called diffraction, that you are not hitting the top of the material and coming out, you are going inside the material, hitting the atoms or molecules, getting scattered and then coming out. So this is reflection after going inside and hitting the particles of the material. So this is called diffraction. And we will see, we'll just show you that once this happens, if the light waves that are coming back are destructive in nature, it is called destructive interference, then we don't see any light, we see a dark band. And when it is constructive interference, then a light beam is produced. So let us show you a scheme. So we are just showing you that there is material, there is some material, and there are the planes. This is 111 plane, second 111 plane, third 111 plane, whatever plane. It is not necessary that it is 111. It is any HKL. But if it is 101, then it is the next 101. This is the next 101. So if light is coming, each light is a wavelength of lambda. If light is coming and it is hitting a plane, then light is coming, it is hitting the other plane. If these two planes are out of phase, you see the top or crest of it matches with the bottom of it, so they kill each other. It is called destructive interference, right? The top of this wave and the bottom of this wave, they meet, so they kill each other. But if it is going the same way, it is hitting this plane and then it is hitting this plane, and now if you see, the top and the tops are aligned, the bottoms and the bottoms are aligned, so it is called constructive interference. When it is destructive interference, you don't see any light, you see a dark band. And when you see constructive interference, this is destructive, constructive, then you see light. And the variables, the wavelength of the light, the distance between the planes, interplanar spacing, and the angle theta at which the light comes and reflects back from these inside planes, right? So destructive interference, constructive interference, two types of diffraction processes. So based on this, we will show you a diagram on the next page. It is the same as the diagram on the previous page. We will show you that lambda, any lambda is divided into two parts, MP and PN. And we will see that based on the angle theta and so on, both MP or PN is equal to the interplanar spacing DHKL times sine theta. So if we want this equation, n times lambda, n is 1, 2, 3, because it is reflection from the first plane, second plane, third plane, right? So n could be 1, 2, 3 and 4. So n lambda, we will see that if we say MP plus PN, So it is DHKL sine theta plus DHKL. So 2 times DHKL sine theta. If we remove n, because it will be the same, if you reflect from the second one or if you reflect from the third one, it will be only 2 or so remove n. So your main big equation is lambda is equal to 2 DHKL sine theta, where lambda is the wavelength of the X-ray that we are using, DHKL is the interplanar spacing of the plane we are studying at the crystal level, and theta is the angle at which the X-ray is coming and reflecting back. So here it is simple geometry. This is the top plane. So this is the second of that plane, this is the third of that plane, they are the same planes. If it is hitting just the first one, then it is reflecting. But if it is going inside the material and hitting the second plane, then it is coming out like this. Of course, this angle theta and this angle theta is the same because the planes are exactly on the same angle. And this distance is d, right? Interplanar spacing d. Now, if this angle is theta, then we can show by simple geometry that if you draw this OMPN, then this angle is also theta. This is very simple to show. You can show that this angle is also theta, right? Now, if this angle is theta and this distance is d, then this is d sine theta, right? If you take sine theta, it is d upon this. So this distance is d sine theta. So that is what we were showing you, that MP and PN are both d sine theta. We can write d as d or we can write d as DHKL because this is the interplanar spacing for the plane with HKL Miller indices, right? So this is the equation. Lambda is equal to 2d sine. So that was the equation. Now one of your favorite things. This is a simple one, not too difficult, but just go ahead and do it. A sample of BCC iron placed in X-ray diffractometer. The incoming X-rays have a wavelength of 0.1541 nanometer. Diffraction is from 110 plane, for example. And the 2 theta, right? They are measuring theta plus theta. So 2 theta is 44.704. Theta is half of this. Calculate the lattice constant A, assuming first order diffraction, taking n is equal to 1. So again, what I always tell you, first of all, don't go forward. Look at this, take a pen, paper, read the problem again carefully, write down the knowns and the unknowns. You can go back and see what equations apply and then you can start it. So it is iron, which is BCC. We are doing XRD. Wavelength is given, plane is given, 2 theta angle is given, n is equal to 1. We have to find the lattice constant A, right? So please note down these and the unknowns. Go back and see which equations you have. Go back and see which equations you have and solve it. You will solve it very easily. It is not a big issue. It is not a big issue. But don't look, right? Pause my lecture. Don't listen to it. Don't go forward. Always make yourself really strong. If you do that always, then you have no problems about exams and so on. Go ahead, solve it. Okay, so now if you are listening, it means you have solved it yourself. What is the equation that we just had? Lambda is equal to 2d sine theta, something like that, right? So that equation is there. Was there an earlier equation when we were doing interplanar spacing? Remember, DHKL is equal to A upon under root of h squared plus k squared plus l squared, right? So these two equations are there and you just substitute the values and find the answers. So it is not a big issue at all, right? This is the equation. Lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. 2d sine theta, right? So n is equal to 1. N is equal to 1. So from here, if you can separate separate d, then it is lambda upon 2d 2 sine theta, right? 2 sine theta. So this is the d. And this was the equation DHKL is equal to A upon h squared k squared l squared. So d you have already found. The HKL are 110. So find A, right? So this is it. So you have two equations. One equation is n lambda or lambda is equal to 2d sine theta. Theta is given, 2 theta was given, theta is given, lambda is given. So from here you can find D. And this D was for the 110 plane. So this D value is found, and the equation for D is this. So the D is found, the HKL are 1 square, 1 square, 1 square, 0 square. So find A from here, it is so many nanometers, 0.287 nanometer. Now, if this is correct experimental data, if it is correct experimental data, then the example is telling you that this is the material, this is BCC iron, BCC iron. So go to the BCC table back and find the A value for iron. Find the A value for iron. Wow, mashallah, 0.287 nanometer. Right, so this is incredible. I told you that when we were doing it earlier, we were saying that we don't know the experimental technique, but if the value in the table is 0.287 and our equations tell us roughly 0.287, then the theory is true. But now experimentally, you know, you don't know the real machine now, you know that this is the XRD machine. But from the XRD machine, experimentally, if you do it for BCC iron and you find for 110, then you have done it, that yes, the A is 0.287. So this is huge, mashallah. Let us continue. So now the detail of the method, we are saying that we use powder method. Powder method means whatever material there is, the sample that we will use for the X-ray diffraction, we will prepare from the powder of the metal, and we will make that powder. The equation that you had earlier is called Bragg's law. This lambda is equal to this equation we have earlier also done in the theory of light and so on. So the equation lambda is equal to 2d sine theta is the Bragg's law. The sample is there. You make a sample by the powder metallurgy, then you go to the XRD machine, you generate the XRD, and you do some other calculations and so on. So let us see. Sorry, this is not schematically, this is the real photo. This is a huge thing. This is like a big table. Inside there is huge nitrogen cooling center, there's that computer system and so on. And this is the XRD machine. XRD machines are very, very costly. We do not have any XRD machine in the College of Engineering, but we have in the College of Science. Most probably we have it in the College of Medicine. And now there is CARU, C-A-R-U. It is the central experimental unit for the whole university. So XRD machines are in CARU. We can have collaboration. I take some sample, I take it to College of Science or CARU, and I ask them to do XRD for me, they will do it. So this is the real machine. Hugely costly. $500,000 riyals and so on. 1 million riyals is hugely costly. And this is inside the machine. This part of the machine is called a goniometer, which measures the angles. You see, there was X-ray radiation, it hits the material, and once it goes inside and gets reflected and so on, then so this is the 2 theta angle. So goniometer is doing the 2 theta angle. Here we are explaining the same thing to you, that there is X-ray radiation generator. Your sample is there. It goes to one plane, it goes to the other plane, 2 lights are coming out. If it detects a dark line, then it is destructive interference. If it detects an actual light line, then it is constructive interference, and that gives the peaks, right? The peaks and so on that we were showing you earlier. So this is the whole XR. And once you do that, then yes, at certain angles we see the peaks. At certain angles, this is one 2 theta angle, this is another 2 theta angle, this is another 2 theta angle, and we will see later on that the first reflection will be from one type of planes, the second reflection will be from other types of planes, and based on this information, then we can do further calculations about the crystal structure. So this is experimental level work at microscopic level, but not using microscopes, but X-ray diffraction machines. This is called the XRD technique. We will stop for now. We'll see you next time. Ma salama, inshallah.